All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm George Smith. I'm the director of Michigan State University AgBioResearch, and I'm pleased to be here today with my good friend Nancy Nyquist, who is the executive director of the Michigan Blueberry Commission. So, Nancy, welcome. We look forward to a very fun conversation.
Thanks, George. I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you today.
Yeah. So, before we kind of get into the details, I just have to say, when I moved to Michigan 28 years ago, I was amazed by all the hidden treasures that are part of Michigan agriculture. And I have to say, one of those hidden treasures for me I discovered were blueberries. Boy, what a treat. These
hmm
large, flavorful blueberries. I didn't grow up in a part of the world where blueberries were common, and now I just really enjoy them. And it's a great story about Michigan agriculture too. So, Nancy, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about your industry.
Yeah, so blueberries have been cultivated in Michigan since the early 1920s, and we have the high bush, northern high bush variety here in Michigan, which I grew up picking blueberries that were low in the sand as a kid so in northern Michigan. So these high bush varieties, the bushes are pretty tall and can be pretty tall, but we have many varieties that we grow here in Michigan. And the main production area is the southwest part of our state, where the blueberries really love, the blueberry plants themselves really love that sandy climate and the breezes and the water and all the good things that the shores of Lake Michigan can bring to us. So really, blueberries are all along that southwest part of our state. They are getting more popular, and more people in northern Michigan are starting to grow them a little bit too for U picks and even some other fresh processing. But it's really the southwest part of our state that has been the most prolific in the blueberry production in our state.
Yeah, yeah. So, what a great story, and I look forward to diving into in a little bit deeper to kind of talk about your industry and the role that MSU research and ag bioresearch scientists play and helps supporting, a very vibrant part of what makes Michigan agriculture special. So maybe to kind of kick things off and dive in a little bit deeper, can you tell us a little bit about how MSU research currently supports goals or decision-making processes within the Michigan blueberry industry?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's several ways, actually. One of the first ways is the Blueberry Commission has a research committee, and that is made up of several members of the commission. And then we also have some industry partners that work with us in that space on that committee as well. And then also the MSU researchers and extension small fruit educators are also involved in that process. And we get together several times a year and then refine our goals each year to make sure that those are the goals that we as an industry want and have set forth, and that nothing new has emerged. And so we really start at that very basic level of establishing those research priorities. And then the blueberry team, the small fruit team at MSU, is really, I would have to say, I mean, I'm biased, of course, but they are the best in the nation, if not the world, in terms of what they do and the work they do and the service that they provide, not only to the communities where we grow blueberries, but also to the farmers that are growing the blueberries themselves. Um, there are obviously a number of areas of expertise, whether it be pollination or disease resistance or new cultivars. We have people on doing cutting edge research at MSU that really we partner with and love the partnership. And our growers know the faculty, know the researchers, know the lab managers, because they work hand in hand on their farms with them to perform incredibly important research. So it's really, I think it's really a full circle. Do we have maybe some gaps somewhere, but not really. I don't think most days it's a pretty complete circle of doing that research. And I would even venture to say that we've expanded on some of that role as well, working with the Plant Diagnostic Lab. We started an agreement with them in 2022 to get more blueberry sampling and research and testing or retesting done at the diagnostic lab on campus. And recently, earlier this fall, Chris Bardenhagen provided an economic cost of production study. So it's really not just It all does go back to the blueberry plant and the blueberry itself, but we're looking not just at the plant, we're looking also at the economics and at all different areas that the MSU touches the industry. It's really phenomenal.
Some of the words you use to describe your industry and the work they do with MSU are really music to my ears and recurring themes. Team, partnership,
Mhm.
working together, solving problems together that go all the way from the farm to the fork.
Absolutely.
That certainly makes Michigan agriculture special. The relationship we have, the work research our scientists do, working in partnership with MSU Extension to get the information out to people who can utilize and apply that information, and working in close partnership with the industry to make sure the research that's done, the questions are asked, meet the short-term and long-term needs of your industry. So yeah, that's awesome. And there's so many things in the history of the blueberry industry we could talk about, for probably over an hour.
Mhm.
One of my favorites is to talk about one of the ways that the blueberry industry and work at MSU has really put MSU on the map. When we talk about discoveries and what MSU was known for, the first thing that comes up is a famous cancer drug named cisplatin
Yes.
that very, very had a huge impact and the top royalty generator for the university. Now we look at what are the products that are having the biggest impact in terms of royalties, and it's blueberries. It's blueberry varieties that were developed at MSU
Mhm.
by Jim Hancock that have had such an impact on the industry. So we're famous for a lot of things, not only
Mhm.
cancer drugs, but agriculture. And those varieties, as one example, have made a huge impact in Michigan and across the globe.
And we're continuing that research now with we just last year established at the Southwest Michigan Research and Extension Station in Benton Harbor a new 2.5 acre planting that was supported in part with Blueberry Commission funding to plant some new varieties down there because, like anything, we also have to kind of pay attention to what consumers want too, right? It's not
Mhm,
only just and people seem to really they want flavorful, they want
mhm,
fresh, and they want really large blueberries.
mhm,
So we're working on, remaining competitive. And so we've got several new varieties to Michigan
mhm.
that we're working on down in Southwest Michigan. So it'll be a few years before it bears fruit, pardon the pun, but hopefully we'll get there and have some new selections for our growers to put in.
Yeah, yeah, bears fruit. That's a good one. I like that. And I just gotta comment again how large blueberries are and how
Mhm.
flavorful. Because again, when I was a kid, and they were hard to get where I grew up in Idaho, blueberries were these little tiny pieces of fruit,
Mhm.
no longer, almost as big as a cherry. It's
Right.
it's just amazing the advancements and progress that have been made, and research has played a part in that. And in speaking about partnerships again, you mentioned that your industry also directly invests in research. You need to invest in research infrastructure, like the new plantings that you described at the Southwest Michigan Research and Extension Center. So, in the theme of partnerships as well, there's this long-standing program at MSU that I know we're all proud of that represents a partnership between the plant-based agricultural industries, general farm organizations, and MSU called Project Green.
Yeah.
It's a signature program in the state. It really makes us unique. So, talk a little bit about the role of Project Green, the
Mhm.
impact on your industry, and your perspective on why that's really a special, impactful program.
Project Green, I've been familiar with Project Green for many years, and Project Green, like you said, is really, it's unique. It is incredibly special and incredibly important, not only to those that are doing the research, but it's also incredibly important to industries like the blueberry industry in Michigan. It's often a place where a problem can start to be solved, or outreach can begin if it's an extension piece. And we often partner. The Blueberry Commission has their own grant program, small grant program that we administer as well. And so often it could be matching money, matching funds to support that research, because we know that the money that we provide, give out for research can't do the whole thing itself, right? So it's really that partnership and building those layers of resources. And Project Green has been a steady, consistent resource for our industry and others for what is it, over 25, 26 years now. And it's really, like you said, it's tried and true. And I think it's a one of the crown jewels in the ag portfolio at MSU is this program that is so broadly supported by industry, across industries in ag, the food and ag space, natural resources, and it's incredibly vital. It's a program that I know whenever I meet with new faculty or new researchers that are specialists that are coming to campus, I make sure to tell them it's one of the first things I talk about because it is so important for them to get into that Project Green cycle or that Project Green space, because it means so much for us to see the success that comes out of it, and really where projects can either go to, like I said, start or get completed. Maybe it's where they get wrapped up. But it's a tremendous opportunity, not only for us as an industry, but also for the folks on campus and out throughout the state, because it's without having given the industry of agriculture in Michigan as a whole, with the over number of commodities that we grow, there's just not specialty crops in particular don't have the same kind of cachet at the national level that perhaps traditional row crops do. No offense to my row crop friends, but research for blueberries and dollars that are available for blueberries is very different than the dollars that are available for corn or soybeans, and for example. And so Project Green dollars and other dollars such as that are just vitally important to make sure that we continue to be able to put a fresh, safe, wholesome product on the plate for people.
It really is a unique partnership. And as I travel around the country, I can tell you there's no other program like it in the United States.
And that's just one more thing that makes not only our industry stronger, but it makes MSU stronger and it makes those partnerships stronger that we have that kind of relationship, and that kind of program.
Yeah, in the first 20 years of Project Green, the economic impact for the state of Michigan was over $2.5 billion with
That's
a
in,
P.
yeah, that's incredible.
Huge return on investment because the additional funding that comes in for Project Green is a little over 5 million a year. So, and directly contributing to growth of the number two contributor to the state's economy, agriculture, that's over $125 billion a year. So I know it's something we're all very, very proud of, and we're going to do our best to continue to make sure good things happen as a result of that program. So Nancy, can you share a couple examples maybe of when MSU research has positively impacted a project or strategy within your industry or helped it overcome a significant challenge?
Sure. The first thing that comes to mind is spotted wing Drosophila, our good friend SWD for short. This is a pest that came into Michigan in 2010. It was not here previously, and it really it likes soft-fleshed fruit like a blueberry or raspberry or strawberry. And folks at MSU got right on it and started because this was a new emerging issue. We didn't know how to treat it. We didn't know how to prevent it or get rid of it. It is still a pest today, but the work that has been done in the last 15 years or so is remarkable to the point where researchers at MSU, Dr. Rufus Isaacs and his lab have are rearing little itty bitty tiny wasps that can
Uh-huh.
are incredible to watch under a magnifying glass that can be deterrent, help deter the SWD growth. And maybe someday we'll have enough of these if they can survive the overwintering here in Michigan, especially with the temperatures we're experiencing right now. This could really be a game changer because it right away increased the cost put on the growers to find what once we found some sprays or some treatments for it, increased the cost of production right away. And so that added a cost that they weren't prepared for, hadn't planned for. And so I think that's, one example that I think of, and also the work that the EnviroWeather stations are doing, and the way that we keep improving EnviroWeather and increasing the number of stations so that growers can have that weather model and for predictability for temperature, for growing days, um, moisture, freezing, all the things that are so important to keeping, the again, I don't mean to pick on my row crop friends, but they get to start over new every year. We've got to keep these plants healthy and alive for decades, for their lifespan can be over 30 years. And so they've got to continue to use those tools that like EnviroWeather and others that faculty have developed for us so that we can keep those plants thriving in the future. I also think another one real quickly that I would talk about too is um, back to Project Green really quick, is that also deals with immediate priorities sometimes too. And those are really kind of those emerging issues and things that we haven't anticipated. And so that really also benefits and helps us tremendously. We've got some projects right now we're working on about harvest timing and water irrigation use and taste, flavor quality. So there's really a lot of really fun stuff that's going on. I think it's fun, but I'm glad I'm not doing the work, but it's fun to get to work on projects like that. But I would say spotted wing Drosophila was one of those emerging issues that the team at MSU and the industry really got behind right away to try to solve that problem. And we still have a ways to go, but I think we're getting closer every day.
Yeah, yeah. And the whole the innovation involved in the work that MSU scientists did trying to look at alternative strategies to deal with emerging pests and identifying natural predators for that pest and seeing
Right.
that that's a way to deal with the problem. It's just we're really hopeful that that approach will turn out to be viable, and it really illustrates we're looking at a whole host of strategies to deal with emerging problems. And chemicals have their place, but also alternative strategies to deal with the challenges agriculture is facing.
Right, because those like you said, those chemistries cost money and resources and time.
They
And
do.
yeah, having a natural predator to something, that's awesome.
Great. So, Nancy, tell a little bit how about your industry measures success or value of MSU research. And you touched on it already, the importance of your role in helping set priorities for our faculty.
Yeah, like I said, we meet several times a year with our research committee, and your faculty participates in those meetings. But I think it's also, we have, 4 or 5 commission meetings a year, and faculty is at those meetings, presenting and engaged with our members. They participate. We have a annual Blueberry Field Day that's now in, I think it's third or fourth year, which is terrific. So I think we're constantly engaged with one another. Um, you know, I I guess we're just in, I don't want to say constant, but we're in very frequent conversations
Mhm.
with one another, whether we're working on a specialty crop block grant or we're working on someone's presentation for Monday's meeting or
Mhm.
whatever it is. We are constantly engaged with one another, and we all just, I think, have built the relationships not only on a professional level, but in many ways on a personal level too, because that's what it's all about. We have our industry is very grateful for the work that MSU does and values, I mean, trusted partnership, right? That's and trusted resource. If we need something, you all listen and you all respond, and you can't buy that. So I have growers that'll say, "Hey, I've got this problem," and they'll say, "Do you think I can call so and so about it?" And someone at MSU, and I'll say, "Of course you can." They are, we all have each other on our phones. We all have each other's phone numbers. So, it's a small but mighty industry, but having that close knit relationship and that open dialogue with one another, um, to me, that's the secret sauce right there.
Awesome. So, Nancy, when we talk about challenges and opportunities for the future, I think we all recognize that agriculture is important. Our farmers, our growers feed the world. It's a major contributor to the state's economy. It's the number two industry in the state of Michigan, but we've got so much more potential. Agriculture is critical to rural communities. Agriculture is also a growing segment of in urban settings, making a bigger contribution in urban settings when we talk about urban agriculture. So the sky's the limit, but it's a challenge for our farmers right now, our growers. You know, it's a tough time. The
Yes.
inputs, what they have to invest in their products is continues to go up, and the market, despite what people have to pay sometimes in the grocery store, the returns to the farmers, the margin, the difference isn't at a level any of us would like. So I know we all agree that research is part of the solution to those problems. So, on a personal level, from a blueberry industry level, what would you say to legislators to advocate on why continued funding for ag research is important?
Gosh, there's so many things I would say, but I think the most important thing is to keep in mind, you hit it is, feeding the world. And people want fresh, wholesome, safe food. We know what inputs are on our food, and we know how to grow the best food in the country. And I would say, I've had blueberries from other places. Obviously, I'm partial to Michigan blueberries, but the work that has been done in the research that's been done to not only assess the health benefits of a blueberry, um, the multiple ways a blueberry can be used, um, maintaining agriculture research, whether at the state or federal level, is, I'd say it's close to national security. Being able to feed ourselves is one of the most important things we as a nation can do. And, we're already seeing a lot of pressure from imports in our industry. And I don't see how it's rational to want to import fresh food when we can do it better than anyone else right here.
Right on, Nancy. I'm right there with you. You know, last data I heard was it's estimated that over 50% of the fresh fruit consumed in the United States is imported. And
Yep.
there's some data to indicate that by 2030, that could be up to 80%. And when we think about, societal goals to um, improve human health and whatnot, and the importance of nutrition and access to food. Agriculture is the foundation of all of that. Healthy food leads to healthy people, it leads to longer lifespans, it leads to vitality in communities and whatnot. So, food security really is national security. I really appreciate the way you describe that. And it's really a story we have to figure out how to tell better. So, kind of the corollary of that, what would it mean to the Michigan blueberry industry if funding support for ag research went away?
Oh, it would be devastating. It would be devastating to our industry. We rely so very much on the work and the research that is done so that we can continue to invest in the right things on our farms, and invest in the right plantings, invest in the right sprayer, or the right how much rain we need, how much water, how much irrigation we need. It would be devastating. The Blueberry Commission was started in 2017 with its main purpose and sole purpose being to support industry-driven research. That is our primary focus. We don't and we don't deviate from that very much, if ever. So that research is critically important to our growers, and it would be devastating if funding for agricultural research went away. It would devastate our industry in a very quickly. So we got
Well
to make
put.
sure that doesn't happen.
We do. We do. We're all in this together, and we're going to do
Absolutely.
everything we can to tell the story about why this investment is important, not just for farmers. Farmers are
No,
important, but for,
it's important.
every Michigander and beyond.
Absolutely. It's important not only for us as individuals, but it's very important for our communities.
Nancy, this has been a great conversation. I look forward to doing it again sometime. So as we wrap up, any final thoughts you want to leave with us?
Yeah, I really thank you. I've enjoyed the conversation myself, and I know that on behalf of the volunteer Blueberry Commission members that I'm here representing, and all of blueberry growers in Michigan, we thank MSU with all of our hearts for all the work that you do, for the partnership, for the relationship that we have together, and all of the collaboration that we've done in the past, and that we will look forward to doing in the future. So thank you.
And more good things to come in the future. Right there with you, Nancy. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.